So I gotta ask, man, how did your fandom for professional wrestling start? What was the main event or pay per view, or who was the relative you saw watching wrestling and that made your curiosity peak?
Well, it's always kind of been there for me. It probably started with my papaw when I was really young. That man went to the grave thinking that, wrestling was the greatest thing ever, and it kind of rubbed off on me. But the first like major event that I remember watching, because we didn't really have cable when I was young, so I couldn't keep up with it every week. But I had like the VHS tapes of a lot of them. But the one that always stuck out the most was WrestleMania 17. That was always the big one for me.
Okay. Yeah, that was, let's see, WrestleMania 17. That was Austin versus The Rock Part 2.
Yeah.
And that was, I think that was Vince McMahon versus Shane McMahon.
And then you had TLC 2
Yeah.
with the Edge with the spear off the ladder to Jeff Hardy, who was hanging from the title.
Oh yes, that was. I always thought that was WrestleMania 2000. Well, wow, yeah, I definitely remember that. That was yeah, that was a crazy moment in WrestleMania. I can only
Mhm.
imagine the people were, seeing that being done live and in person.
Right. Because, I mean, at that time, like, you didn't do stuff like that every week.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, that was definitely um a crazy match. And yeah, I remember the Shane McMahon versus Vince McMahon, him actually doing the coast to coast on his dad
Right.
with the trash can on him. Then Linda McMahon was kind of at that time she was going through a catatonic state, but
Yeah.
somehow she snaps out of it long enough to give Vince a low blow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To me,
that was
that's still one of the, if not the best pay per views that WWE's ever put on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'd say for that decade, it's one of the best.
Oh, for sure.
If I had to say for like the earlier decades, like the 1990s, I would have to say I don't know if you saw the ones back in the 90s, but I would have to say it would be probably the Attitude Era. Um, One of the best, I would probably say when Stone Cold finally won the title from Shawn Michaels
Oh, yeah.
after Tyson turned on him, and then Shawn Michaels like, "What are you doing?" And Tyson just knocks him out with the punch, and then we wouldn't see Shawn back active in another ring until
2002, I think.
2002 against none other than the man who took over the reins from him in DX, Triple H.
Right.
You know, you know something that's funny? You've seen the when Shawn Michaels turned on Marty Jannetty, right? The whole
Right.
incident. Do you tell me that's not karma coming back to bite you? Now we know Marty Jannetty got his licks back in on Shawn Michaels
Right.
in 1992. But fast forward 10 years, Triple H did the same thing to Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
He actually hit him with that pedigree, and people were like, "But we thought y'all were boys. Like y'all were actually boys." And yeah, it was that was to me that's one of the best feuds. If I had to choose a feud that is up there with Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair, that would definitely be one of them.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely. I mean, when two guys in the ring know each other so well and they've got that chemistry together, man, it all comes together in near perfection, if not perfection.
awesome. So since wrestling, have you found that guy that you have that chemistry that you like? You know what? You and I would make a great feud. Yeah, we'd be great tag team partners, but if we were to feud, it would be a feud that many would remember and never forget. And they would put up there with one of the best feuds that they've seen as a wrestling fan in professional wrestling.
Um, Maybe not yet. The only thing I can think of right now from my little experience is just during training at the Nightmare Factory. The one person that when we would do our weightlifting and all that, always it was always me and Kid Bandit lifting together, and me and him had a few practice matches with each other, and I think me and him, if we work together in the future, we could put on a really really good feud.
Wow. That's I tell you, Kid Bandit is everybody is starting to know this guy, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And when I first saw that picture of the class picture y'all had, people were talking about. They didn't even see him in the ring, but they were talking about his hair and everything. And me being the type of person I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Y'all talking about his hair, but I want to know what that person's deal is. I want to know what that person's story is.
Right.
And we were very grateful. Shout out to Kid Bandit as well. But
Absolutely.
we were very, I guess, lucky, for lack of a better word. I can't think of the word right now. We were fortunate. We were very fortunate to actually have him on the show, and guy is just making a name for himself. And it's only a matter of time till we see him. I mean, I think he's already worked for GCW, but we're gonna be. It's only a
Hmm.
matter of me, in my opinion. It's only a matter of time we're gonna see more of him in. We're gonna hear more of him in professional wrestling and so on, especially
Yeah.
in big leagues. But yeah, but back to you, man, Mr. Dreamer. I gotta ask you, man. So, growing up, who were some of your favorites that you enjoyed watching and cheering for and whatnot?
Um. Well, I mean, as you can probably guess from my name, I always liked Tommy Dreamer growing up. That was
Woo!
that
All
was one
right.
that he always stuck out to me.
Wow.
But other than that, like I remember, I remember Randy Orton coming into WWE in 2002, 2003, that time period.
Mhm.
And from the moment that I first saw him wrestle, he has been one of my favorites. And I've kept up with him ever since. You know, people like AJ Styles, I've watched him back then too. Um, Obviously, Cody Rhodes, he's got to be up there for me.
I've always had faith in your coach, Cody Rhodes, even when people were saying. So I've been a fan of his ever since he debuted, believe it or not. When I saw him, because I've always enjoyed watching the Rhodes family battle
Yeah.
fight, whether it was Dusty, whether it was Dustin, then when I saw Cody, I was like, wow, awesome, Cody Rhodes is debuting. Unfortunately, they put him against Randy Orton. I'm like, oh, okay, but he didn't. The guy definitely had a lot of heart, and one of my close friends be like, Cody Rhodes sucks. I'm like, dude, you can't judge the guy off of his first couple of matches. He just started wrestling. And then he'd be like, Cody Rhodes sucks. And I'm like, then I saw him in Legacy, and then I was like, Cody Rhodes, what? You want to finish that sentence? He sucks. So I'm like, you really want to do this the hard way, right? All right, good, I got you. So I'm gonna ask him again if he still feels the same way. Now, an NWA World Title reign later, several title reigns later, and now he's back, and there's no stopping him from that World Title scene. I want to see if my friend's gonna say that, but I've always enjoyed, Cody Rhodes is definitely. I'm not just saying that because you're in front of me. Like legitimately, this is how I feel. Like I was a huge fan of Legacy. I enjoyed
Right.
that. I really would like to see a reunion, although Ted DiBiase is no longer wrestling, but I'm crossing my fingers and maybe he'll reconsider and do just one more match. But yeah,
That little moment that Cody and Randy had in the ring last
yeah.
week on Raw for Randy's 20th anniversary was honestly it was a little emotional for me just seeing those two back together.
Oh yeah, yeah. So with Randy Orton, what do you think about the arcade bro thing going on? What was your reaction? Were you like, oh no, this is not gonna work, man? I mean, you got Randy Orton, the Viper, the Legend Killer, the Apex Predator, and you're gonna put him with bro. Like Matt Riddle. Like, what do you guys think? Like, what? Or was it like, or were you like, this is interesting, kind of like the Rock and Sock connection? It just
Well,
let me be honest. What was your mindset about that?
originally I thought it took me a little while to get into it, but once it really kind of they found their feet with it and got everything moving, you can just see how much fun they're both having with it, and I love it. Honestly, I really do.
Yeah, I've actually at first I thought it wouldn't have worked because I'm like, Nah, this is gonna be short lived, man. This is gonna be like
Yeah,
Y2 AJ, like when you had Jericho and AJ Styles. It's not gonna work, but surprisingly, it's been pretty cool. And I always wondered. I don't know if you ever saw the Evolution documentary, but there was a documentary between that was documenting, I think, Randy Orton or Evolution as a whole, and they were saying that when Randy and Mark Jindrak were together, it was like two frat boys just hanging out pretty much. That's what they were getting at.
yeah,
And I always wondered if WWE had actually pulled the trigger on those two, if they had kept them together, if that's what we would have gotten. RK Bro, if we would have gotten RK Bro before RK Bro. I always wonder about that.
yeah. That would have been interesting. Uh, and it's crazy to think how things could have been so much different if that just one little change wasn't made back then.
Yeah. Yep. But hey, that's wrestling. I mean, change is a definite.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially from what I've seen with last minute changes. Not me personally, but from what I've heard and yeah, from watching documentaries, yeah, that seems to be an ongoing thing in professional wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how did your journey go? So now you're a fan, you're cheering your favorites and whatnot, you're tuning in every week and so on. How did your journey go from Andrew Dreamer the fan to Andrew Dreamer, the Alpha Dreamer, Nightmare Factory Class 3 graduate?
Well, it it was a long journey, I'll tell you that. Um, so like my whole life, I was never athletic at all. I was always the kid who, like, I think I played football for about 3 days before I quit because my feet were hurting.
Okay.
Um, I played, some little league baseball, but never really stuck with it. I quit everything I started. So I wasn't athletic, and then I was like really overweight. And then I saw an interview with DDP one day, and was like, maybe I should try the DDP yoga out. Well, did that, stuck with it. 6 months later, I was down, I think, about 60 pounds with it. And then from there, that was about the time that AEW was starting, and I was following Cody a lot closer. And then his whole thing, do the work. And then I kind of took that and ran with it more. And then I hear that he they're starting the Nightmare Factory, and then that's kind of when that thought crept in, and I was kind of like, I think I can do that. And because honestly, like I was always that one that I was saying, like, I want to be a wrestler when I grow up, and everybody's like, yeah, okay, sure, because I'm not the biggest guy, I'm not the strongest guy, but when I set my mind to that and said, hey, I'm gonna do it, I didn't care what it took, I was gonna do it. So I signed up for it, got accepted, and honestly, it was probably the best 3 months of my life that I was down there. And then here I am.
Awesome. That's cool. And you stuck with it for the 3 months, and now you're an official graduate, alumni of the Nightmare Factory. And now you're up there. You have your class. I'm sure that they pretty have it. They have it in that building. They probably have the class 3 photo up there. So now when people go, they're gonna look at that and be like, oh snap, yo, there's Andrew Dreamer, the Alpha Dreamer, man. He just made his debut in New Japan. Did pretty well. Or saw you on Impact, you know, kicking butt, taking names as for the X Division Championship or the World Championship. Or hey, oh snap, that was Andrew Dreamer. That guy actually tag teamed with Tommy Dreamer. I'll never forget that match. That was crazy. Speaking of which, have you ever met Tommy Dreamer
I
in
have
person?
not.
You
Have not.
haven't?
I would love to.
Wow. Yeah, that would. I'll tell you what. The day that happens, whether you guys are teaming or one on one, I'll definitely have my eyes glued to the screen. I'll be like, "Oh snap! It's finally happening, man. This is gonna be one to watch."
Yeah, That's definitely a dream match of mine. Like you said, whether it be standing across from him in the ring or teaming with him, either way, I'll take it. But that's definitely a dream of mine.
Yeah, I definitely hope you get that chance too. And he's still active too, so
Hmm.
hopefully it happens very soon. So the battle royal. So you did the training, you got that handshake from your coaches saying, "Hey, congratulations, you graduated. Now you can officially take bookings all across the nation, if not all across the world." But now you have the Student Showcase 3 coming up. You have the Battle Royal, which, in my opinion, you did pretty well. You know, you were in there with some heavy hitters, but you pretty much held your own. What was your mindset going into that match? Were you nervous, or were you like, something? I've gotten training from the best coaches in this business. I got this, or was it a mixture of both?
Before I walked out, I was definitely nervous. My stomach was turning a little bit, but I always think, if you're not nervous, then you don't really care. But going out, I was nervous. But as soon as I stepped out from behind the curtain and I heard the crowd and I saw them, it all just went away, and I knew I was exactly where I was supposed to be, and it was the best feeling ever.
Yeah, man, that battle royal, I'll never forget it. You had, the Lord's Warrior in there. I'll never forget him like standing up like the Undertaker, and then he
Yeah.
did the whole hulking up, and he was like, "You!" And then you had the Mountain Mama, Jess Barnes was her name. She was
Mhm.
in. She actually surprised me because she went in there. I didn't even expect it. I thought she would have been facing Katie Hebner, and Katie Hebner came in as a referee in the last in the main event, but she went in there only female, but she went toe to toe with some of the guys in there. Unfortunately, she got you. She was the one that eliminated you. But honestly, in my opinion, you did well. And the battle royal, I definitely enjoyed it. That's one I'll definitely remember um, for the whole showcase history as well. So now that that's over, what's next? What's next for you?
Well, I've got a few things in the works right now. Um, I've kind of been dealing with like a little bit of a knee injury, trying to let that get right before I go in and mess it up more. I don't want to do that. But I've got a few things going. Actually, I'm friends with a guy. He just restarted this promotion close to where I live, and I've kind of been working with him a little bit. Uh, but that'll probably be my next step. I want to get established within that promotion and kind of just move on from there because he's had some big names already just in the first month that he's ran shows.
Okay. Which promotion is this, if you don't mind me asking?
It's um it's called New South Wrestling. It's based out of Lexington, Kentucky.
New South. Oh, I almost mistook it for New South Pro, which is
Yeah, no,
out in Georgia.
that one's, I think, is that Florida?
I think that's
Florida,
Georgia.
is it Georgia? Okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, they're separate. But like the first week that the guy ran shows here, he had he had Rikishi come in and do some stuff. Carlito showed up for a match, and who else was there? See, James Storm has also wrestled. The Gun Club, all three of them have wrestled several times. Chelsea Green, Danny Moe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow. Those are some big names.
absolutely.
Yeah. Daddy Mo is definitely one that I've definitely seen. I remember her and her husband Facade,
Hmm.
one of the coolest couples I've seen in professional wrestling. I gotta hopefully we can get an interview with them one of these days. Definitely impressive and
Yeah.
definitely a couple to look out for as well. So wow, Kentucky. So I take it you're very familiar with OVW.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another promotion that I enjoy watching. A lot of talented people have actually passed through there, and to me, I think now since Al Snow took over, they've been doing even bigger things. So
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely like to see. I definitely enjoy seeing what they do, and hopefully, when I'm in Kentucky, I can definitely get to catch a show live and whatnot.
Yeah. See, for the longest time, wrestling in Kentucky was kind of on the downturn, and it's just now starting to pick back up with New South starting up, OVW kind of gaining some ground. There's another one called Generation Next that Larry D runs. Um, but
Oh, from
those are kind of the big three. Yeah, yeah.
okay, wow, that's good. He's actually starting his own promotion. That's cool. Yeah, I definitely hope that more promotion, the wrestling scene gets more, gets bigger in Kentucky. It's always great to have it's always great to see each state have their own little promotion group of promotions they can go to.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes the wrestling world go round. When you have like for example, Georgia has Anarchy Wrestling. I mean, they have the Nightmare Factory. You have WWA 4 and Platinum Championship Wrestling. And then there's like even up here in New York, you have places like House of Glory and several others, Wrestle Pro. So it's always a great thing to see like states get like Kentucky and places like Minnesota get a wrestling scene developing and so on. It's a great thing.
Oh yeah.
So I just have two more matches before we shut the show down. So I mean, not two more matches, two more questions. Sorry. So let's take us to the last question. You know, when your coach Cody left WB several years ago, and he did his own thing on the Indies and whatnot, he actually posted a list of wrestlers he wanted to face in the near future. And subsequently, other wrestlers started doing the same thing too, posting their own lists online and whatnot. Who are Andrew Dreamer's top five that he would want to face in the near future?
Hmm. Gosh. Well, going back, I want another match with Kid Bandit. I really want to work with Kid Bandit again. Um, hmm. And since we were talking about them, I would love a match with Facade too. After seeing what he can do in the ring, I'd love to have that. And then honestly, I mean, other than that, like just people from the camp, I want a match with Sanson. I'd like to have a match with Trevor Outlaw, Brandon Gore, just all those guys. I love working with all of them.
Ah, cool. Well, I definitely hope you get the chance to. And hopefully we get to see you on the big screen, and especially in hope we get to see you on AEW or WWE, or like I said, maybe we get to see that Tommy Dreamer versus Andrew Dreamer, that match on not just on the indies, no, not just on Fight TV. Hope we get to see it on national TV.
Yeah,
If you
man, I would love that. Like I really, really would.
definitely wouldn't mind seeing that, and hopefully happens soon as well. So my last question, um let's say you have somebody that wants to get into the world of professional wrestling, and they want to do it through the Nightmare Factory. I'm not trying to put a Nightmare Factory on blast at all. No, actually respect what y'all do over there. But what advice would you give that young man or young lady that's looking to go the route that you did?
And the best thing I can tell somebody if that's what they want to do is just make sure you're giving 110%, because I promise you, whatever you put in is what you'll get out of it. And if you're not willing to give it your all, then you might as well not even do it, because you're just cheating yourself at that point. And it's a horrible feeling when you look back on things like that and realize that you did cheat yourself. So just give it everything you got and go for it.
Awesome. So for those y'all looking to get into professional wrestling and especially do it through Nightmare Factory, you actually just got some advice from an alumni of that school. Anything else he gives you after this show, you probably got to pay him. So you got a little something, something from him. So Anything else, hit him up, and he'll work out the PayPal, the Cash App, and y'all can get whatever advice you need. But he just gave you a little something right now. But with that being said, it is time for us to shut the show down. Andrew, thank you very much for actually, taking time out of your busy schedule. Well, first of all, I apologize for the late start. You know, today was a crazy day, and yeah, it's one of those days. But
I understand. It's not a problem at all.
thank you very much. We are humbly grateful for you, giving us the opportunity to just sit down and shoot the breeze about wrestling. Unfortunately, my other co-hosts, Kathy Knight and Rob Bass, couldn't be here due to some personal matters they had to attend to. But we're still grateful, and they're still grateful as well too. So, where can fans find you on social media when they want to find out when your next appearance is? Purchase the Alpha Dreamer, Andrew Dreamer merchandise. Where can bookers and promoters find you when they want to book you for those shows, especially that Tommy Dreamer match?
All my social media is just Andrew Dreamer 12. Merchandise you can get on prowrestlingtees.com. Just search for Andrew Dreamer, you'll find that stuff. Bookings, my email is just again it's Andrew Dreamer 12 at Gmail. That that's all me.
Awesome. So y'all heard, you know, he's on social media. Give him a follow. He has merchandise. Support him. Cop some merchandise. If you can't make the shows he's on, that's another way you could support is purchasing the merchandise, and that's another way you can also support indie wrestling as well, because that's where the majority of your AEW, WWE, Impact, um, New Japan, New Japan stars come from. So support indie wrestling, support Andrew Dreamer, and check out the Nightmare Factory showcases. No, you don't have to pay anything to watch. They're on YouTube. The only thing you have to pay are two things: attention and time. That's all they're asking for. You don't have to pay nothing. Just log on, type in Nightmare Factory Student Showcase, and you got five of them. Check out each and every one of them. You will not be bored. I guarantee you that. I actually liked the showcase two when y'all had the showcase two. That was the same time they were showing the WWE event with the zombies and whatnot. I actually like that showcase more than that whole event.
Yeah,
So
me too.
yeah, so I guarantee you, I guarantee y'all, if you check out those showcases, you will find a moment that you enjoyed out of each of them. So with that being said, Andrew, thank you once again. If y'all want to find me on social media, you can find me on Twitter at the Remy Blue. You can also find me on Instagram at the Remy Blue, and also on Facebook under the alias Remy Blue. Our podcast is also on social media. We're on Twitter and Instagram at Ringside Society, Facebook as a Facebook group, Ringside Society, Twitch at Ringside Society 2019. We're also on Spotify. We're also on Blog Talk, and we also have a YouTube channel where you can actually see all of our cool interviews, like this one, like the one with Sanson, Kid Bandit, Ishmael Vaughn, Parker Lee, Raiden the Destroyer, and many other students of Class 3, Class 2, and Class 1. So make sure you go on YouTube and check us out. All you gotta do is type in YouTube. You'll see that sweet OMG dark blue and light blue yin yang sound with the blue flames around it. That's when you know it's us. So make sure you subscribe to all our videos because you don't want to miss a thing like Aerosmith in 1998. And with that being said, I just want to thank you. We just want to thank everybody that tuned in tonight. Oh, I forgot one more thing. I always forget this part. We also have a Teespring store. Yes, where we sell official Ringside Society merchandise. We have many designs. We also have one specially for the refs coming up. Y'all are definitely gonna like this, or maybe not. Hey, well, at least we tried, right? But we also have another design coming up. We have t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, long sleeve shirts. We even have coffee mugs for your favorite warm beverage. So make sure you check out our shop. Cop some Ringside Society merch. All proceeds go back into keeping the show afloat. It does not go back into our pockets. And with that being said, we just want to thank everybody tuning in tonight live. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. We try our best to be one of the best to bring you some of the best wrestling content that you can watch online. To those y'all that are going to listen later on, thank you very much in advance. And those y'all that hate us, can't stand us, really and truly wish we'd go away, like myself at a Golden Corral, we're not going anywhere for a while. So with that being said, we here at Ringside Society, we're very well aware that everybody and their grandparents and the parents of a podcast. But we're not your grandparents' podcast. We're not your parents' podcast. As a matter of fact, we're not just any podcast. And with that being said, I'm gonna say it right now: one time for the mind, one time for the people, one time for the wrestling culture, and one time for the Nightmare Factory Class 3, and one time for the Alpha Dreamer, Andrew Dreamer. We're the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society. And with that being said, we will be back next week with another impressive episode, with another impressive guest. But until then, do us have this time. I know I normally say 4 things, but I'm gonna say 5 things. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Thank you for all that you do, all the great things you do, holding down the household and whatnot. We really appreciate y'all. Keep on doing what you're doing. Do not touch those pots and pans. Let the kids, the husband, whoever, do the cooking. Kick up your shoes, relax your feet. It's your day. Stay safe, stay healthy, be excellent to each other, and party on, dudes. We out. Peace.